Okay, we're here with,
Should I keep my head the way it is?
you're fine.
That's good.
You're fine, Mr. Gold. Yes, sir. Okay, here's the introductory statement. Today's date is November the 4th,
Fourth.
2011.
11.
And the name of the person being interviewed is
Larry Gold.
Larry Gold. And Larry, when is your birthday?
12/11/21. It's coming up,
Okay.
right?
All right. And I am Carlton Cartwright,
Right.
the executive director and founder of the Children's Coalition Incorporated.
Right.
What is our current address here? What is the address here?
Here?
Yeah. You know, we're at Kings Point
Yeah, this is Kings Point.
And-
This is the main clubhouse
in Delray Beach,
in Delray Beach.
West Atlantic Avenue.
Right.
That'll do. In
And
Florida.
Jog Road. Oh,
Right,
no, West Atlantic.
Right, West Atlantic, just west of
Yeah,
Delray.
West Atlantic, right.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. All right, we got that out of the way. What branch of service were you in,
U.S. Navy.
and what war did you serve in?
World War II.
What was your rank?
The highest rank, Seaman First Class.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Okay. Here we go. Good. Perfect. Okay. Where exactly did you go?
When I enlisted in the service.
Yeah, where did you enlist?
Where did I enlist?
Mm-hmm.
In the Bronx, New York, in the Armory. Right after Pearl Harbor, I enlisted. And I went into active duty the 24th of April, 1942.
Okay. Were did you enlist? You enlisted or were you drafted?
No, I enlisted.
Okay. Why did you go into the Army instead of? But you went in.
I prefer the Navy.
In the Navy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Cool. Why did you join?
Well, there was a war,
Uh
and the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor,
huh.
and I didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was at the time. And they heard the Navy, all the Navy ships were sunk, bombed,
Right.
torpedoed.
Right.
So I went down and enlisted.
Okay. Sure, I got you. Everything's good. Good. Okay. Perfect. All right, why did you pick the Navy? Why?
Because I didn't want to go into the Army.
Okay.
And the Army might have been infantry.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you recall your first days? Tell me about, going into the service initially when you.
When I first was sworn in,
Mm-hmm.
I went to the United States Navy boot camp in, let's see, what is it called again? The Great Lakes Naval Training Station.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there about, I think, 5 or 6 weeks,
Where was that?
right near Chicago,
Okay. Right.
between Chicago and Milwaukee,
Okay. In Wisconsin. Gotcha.
in Wisconsin, right.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 weeks of that, they started to set us, this one goes in this group. So I went into the amphibious force.
Okay.
And I did my amphibious training down in Norfolk, Virginia, Little Creek, Virginia, a couple of other places, Hampton Roads, for, I don't know exactly how long, maybe a month or so, training how to go down the net of a ship, how to bring a landing craft alongside the ship,
Right.
where the troops go down into the boat.
Uh-huh.
After that training, we came down to Fort Pierce, Florida in July. And in Fort Pierce, we were setting up an amphibious base.
Right.
And I had never been here before. And we were setting it up in July. Boy, we were being bitten to death with these bugs. So I said, I don't want to ever have anything to do with Florida. And after that, we went. They put us aboard ship, and the ship that they put us on was a cargo type of ship with landing craft on it. And the first, you want to know about the invasion? Huh?
Yes, sir.
First invasion we went through was North Africa, November the 8th, 1942, or November the 9th, either one.
Mm-hmm.
And we landed in a place called Safi, S-A-F-I, about 100 miles, I think it was north of Casablanca.
Uh-huh.
And the troops got off our landing craft, and our boat was broached. Broaching means that instead of it being straight with the tide coming in, it went on an angle, and there was no way we could back out until the tide came in.
Right.
So we started to walk on the land, and one of the army men that was already there said, "Get down, there's a sniper." Well, we didn't know, we just got down. We crawled up to this building, I don't know what kind of building it is, a clay building or
Uh-huh.
plastic, whatever. And there were about 7 or 8 soldiers already dead that were killed by the sniper. We couldn't get back to our ship, so we had to stay on land overnight. And we slept by the water, and we were soaking wet. Mm-hmm. And the desert at night is cold. Mm-hmm. And we were shaking through the whole night. In the morning, a boat came alongside, not a large boat, and towed us. The tide had come in, so they threw a rope to us. We tied it on the fantail of the boat. They pulled the boat the normal way. Right. We started the motor, and then we were able to go back to the ship. Mm-hmm. That was North Africa.
Uh-huh.
You want next?
Yes, sir.
Then we went up the coast of Tunisia. From the coast of Tunisia, we went to Sicily. Sicily landing wasn't too bad. We had resistance, but not much. And we landed the troops there, and I don't remember how long we stayed there. Then we went to the one that they never talk about. The newsreels, the army, the Navy, nobody. Salerno. Salerno was one of the toughest landings at that time. That the boat crew, we were 4 in a boat crew.
Yeah.
The 4 of us went through.
In Italy.
In Italy, Salerno.
Right.
They put a radio on my back, which I never had before,
Mm-hmm.
and they said to me, "It'll be shipped ashore."
Right.
So we got in the boat. We took about 40 soldiers or 45 soldiers. As we're starting to go into the beach, the German 88s, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I'm not.
German 88s were firing directly on us. So we zigzagged to get into the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody from the ship called me and said, "You were supposed to land at beach blue. Don't land at blue. There's too many dead and wounded. Go to yellow," whatever the color was.
Right.
So we went to yellow. In the meantime, they're firing on. They couldn't hit us, but they were As we landed the troops, we were going back to the ship to pick up more soldiers.
Right.
On the way back, a radio man gets on, he says to me, "There's an LCI, landing craft infantry, stuck on a sandbar.
Right.
There's about 100 soldiers there. See what you can do to, So we went over there. In the meantime, the Germans were firing their 88s and it's not moving.
Right.
And they couldn't hit it.
Oh, okay.
We unloaded the troops, I don't know, 2 loads, maybe 45 each. That's about 90 men. Mm-hmm. Then we had another 40-something from the original.
Right.
So then we were starting to go back to the ship. As we're going back to the ship, there's a landing craft not moving at all. And the German 88s are firing it around it.
Right.
So we pulled alongside, and there's a smoke pot. You're familiar with a smoke pot?
No, sir.
Smoke pot. It's a can like a paint can, but much larger, and it has a tape on it. And as we were taking the troops, they were British troops, by the way. Mm-hmm. As we were taking the British troops, climbing into our boat, I opened up the smoke pot, and it sets up a screen.
Right.
And blocks out the area.
Okay.
And the 88s were still firing, even with the smoke pot.
Right.
But we took these troops into that beach where we were able to go. Then when we finished that, we went back to the ship. And that was it. We never discussed anything after that. That was really the toughest invasion that the 4 of us were in.
Right.
And we went to Normandy.
Oh, okay.
Now, whenever we landed, we always landed on a beach. We did not know until we pulled alongside the ship to wait for the soldiers to come down the
Right.
net. Only about maybe 10 came down. Where's the rest of you? They were rangers. The rangers were trained to climb cliffs.
Right.
We didn't know that. I mean, we weren't trained for that.
Okay.
But we learned quick.
Uh-huh.
We didn't know where to go, so the rangers had a map. And they told us which direction to go. And we came alongside the cliff, all alone.
Okay.
No other boats around us. And the water was rough. The channel was shaking us back and forth. They had grapple hooks. You familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
And they were tossing the grapple hooks up to grab a hold of the, to get a solid grip.
Mm-hmm.
When they finally got it, one of them started to go up. Now, the cliff was jagged, and we had to hold the rope while he's going up, so the rope didn't swing. Jagged, stick him or something like that, he'd fall, he's finished.
Right.
So we held that out while other ones were holding the boat, make sure that the boat doesn't hit alongside the cliff and puncture the boat.
Right.
So they all got up fine. We never knew what they were going up there for.
Okay.
Never. And we went to Normandy Beach. We didn't know which way to go. We couldn't go back to our ship. And the reason for that, the water was too rough.
Right.
So we just went in the direction of where Normandy Beach was, which was, I don't know, a good couple of miles away. A good couple of miles.
Right.
And we saw a pontoon out from the land out to a certain point. We pulled our landing craft alongside. We tied up. The water went over the top and flooded the boat. So the boat was finished. Meantime, we were soaking wet. So we went on to the beach. And the CBs were there. They had set up. So we went over to the CBs. CBs told us, take off your wet clothes. They gave us dry clothes. They gave us sea rations or whatever it was called. And we didn't know what to do. We just stayed there. After about 2 or 3 hours, they said, go out and see if you can help any of the wounded soldiers and take off dog tags
Right.
from the dead ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were taking off dog tags, or I was anyhow. I took it off where there was no head, just the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And the body smelled pretty bad, so you had to hold your nose and take the dog tag off, try to help whatever soldiers that were wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for at least a day and a half.
Right.
They had to contact our ship
Mm-hmm.
to let them know that we're there.
Right.
To have somebody come over to pick us up.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we had to go up on a little cliff, not high up, but a little from the beach, up a certain distance.
Right.
And there was a soldier there with flashing the signals, right.
Right.
What ship are you from? We told him.
Mm-hmm.
So he flashed the ship. He says, when they come, stay. He told us where to stay. And we waited and waited for a day and a half. They finally picked us up. And by the way, a Spitfire
Mm-hmm.
came and landed there.
Right.
How it landed there, I don't know. It wasn't a landing field. And boy, he was, stones and everything. And that was it. After a day and a half, we went back to the ship. The ship went back to the States.
Right.
When it went back to the States, we got got leave.
Okay.
I lived in New York at the time. We were in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me 4 days leave.
Okay.
4 days.
Right.
Took 18 hours to get from where we were because we had to go Chesapeake Bay.
Right.
And Chesapeake Bay is a big bay.
Yeah.
And it took a long time. I don't know how many hours it took till we finally got to land. And then we had to get on a train
Right.
to get to New York. Well, I did something maybe I shouldn't have done. I'm not really sorry, but I stayed a lot longer than 4 days. So when I returned, the ship left.
Uh-huh.
The ship left. I had to go in front of an officer there, a summary court martial.
Right.
30 days in the brig.
Mm-hmm.
2 days bread and water. 1 day you eat. 30 days. When I finally got out, I must have weighed 120 pounds.
Okay.
And I had no clothes. My clothes was on the ship. So
Right.
I had to get new clothes. They shipped me after I got out of the brig. They shipped me to California. From California, we boarded a ship in California called an LC, no, not LC, wait a minute now. Let me get the name straight. Landing Craft, LCS. LCS is Landing Craft Support.
Right.
It was a flat bottom and a flat bow,
Okay.
similar to the landing craft that we used to take the soldiers to the beach.
Right.
And I boarded that ship, and we went to Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, we were laying over to get orders, where to go. And we went, where we left, I don't know. Oh, by the way, while we were at Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt died.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That was bad news. Then the ship went out to out in the Pacific from Pearl Harbor. We got a report from the radio that the Germans had surrendered.
Right.
Okay. I think that was April of 45.
Okay.
Then we went through a couple of islands, but most of the islands were already taken by the Marines. Because while I was in Africa, Europe, and Normandy,
Right.
they were taking all the islands there. So we ended up in Philippines.
Right.
From the Philippines, we got orders to go to Okinawa. Now, when I was in Europe, and when we were in Sicily, and the German plane, the bombers came over,
Right.
and they dropped their bombs, and their ME-109s came down, their pursuit planes. They would come down, they would strafe us, and go up. Well, the first time I saw a plane in Okinawa up in the sky, looked this big. And all of a sudden it came down. And every ship that was there, aircraft carriers, battleships, including our ship, all firing on this one particular plane. Couldn't hit it.
Right.
And it went down the stack of a battleship, the New Mexico, that battleship, and boom, boom, boom. Because when it went down the stack, it hit the magazine where the oil is, and it started to explode, and guys were being blown all over the place. So our little boat that we were in, we were told, go around, pick up the bodies that are floating. We had a metal type of, I don't know what they call it. It's metal anyhow. You put it in the water and you go under the body to pick up the body.
Right.
And then when you lift it up, the water went through, like a casket, so to speak. Then we picked up a couple of bodies. And a lot of the bodies that were in the water, you saw a leg, an arm, you didn't see a whole body. With that explosion, it tore,
Right.
Then the next day, it hit an aircraft carrier. Well, we see movies of aircraft carriers being hit.
Right.
But all you just see in the movies is an aircraft carrier hit. You see an explosion of fire. That's all you see.
Right.
We saw the guys flying in the air, an arm flying in the air, different parts of the body flying in the air. And we went over rescue again. It was part of the job.
Right.
They never let us sleep, the Japanese. Never let us sleep. They had us day and night.
Really.
They knew once we took Okinawa, they were through.
Right.
So I never took my clothes off. All they kept saying in the Navy, they go bang, 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 bang. Man your stations, red alert, man your station, up and down and up and down and up and down. So I got angry and I started to swear. I was the only one that was really a veteran. Most of these kids that were on the ship were young kids. They never were in a war, where I had all the experience in Europe.
Right.
And these were just young kids, maybe 19, you know. They didn't know what war was. They were frightened. So I played the hero, so to speak. Don't be frightened. Nothing's going to happen to us, and blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And I kept swearing that they don't let us sleep. It relaxed them.
Uh-huh.
It did. After all that, we had to go on picket duty. Picket duty is where a boat goes out by itself about 20 miles or 30 miles out and try to pick up the Japanese coming in by radar.
Right.
In the meantime, our ship, which was, I said, flat bottom, and the bow was flat, not like this.
Right.
Japanese from the air thought we were a destroyer. So they would come down and strafe us. Not to crash, just to strafe us.
Right.
So we would warn by radio the ships in Okinawa itself, you know, the main area, that the plane just attacked us, one plane. So they were prepared for this one particular plane.
Right.
We had that picket duty for one day. Then another ship, another one of our ships, went out to the same area. This time the Japanese plane went into the ship and killed the radio operator.
Kamikaze.
Yeah. I was a radio operator on the other ship.
Okay.
They asked me point blank, they said to me, how would you like to go on this boat, the one that was hit, on this here boat, to go out as a radio op? We're short. So I said, no, I don't want to go. Usually you don't have a choice. But I was never really a radio operator. They were short a radio operator. So they went around the ship asking, who knows how to type?
Right.
So I said, I do, but I haven't typed in quite a while. They put me into the radio shack practicing how to type.
Right.
And then they gave me the job. But I wasn't really a radio operator, but I worked it. So when they asked me to go on, I said, I'm not a radio operator, I'm just filling in.
Right.
So they didn't say a word to me. And they let me stay. I'm glad you did. I'm glad they did, because that radio operator was killed.
Oh, God.
Let's see. After the picket duty, we went to another island in the Ryukyu's chain. Ryukyu's chain is the name of the chain. Okinawa and all their islands was called the Ryukyu's chain. And we went to an island called Aiyashima. Now, Aiyashima, I was on deck. I wasn't working the radio.
Right.
See, I never saw a bombardment like this bombardment. And I had never seen rockets before.
Okay.
So they had a rocket out there, and they were shooting these rockets, and boom, 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 you know. You couldn't see the beach.
Right.
It was just blotted out.
Right.
I don't know exactly what happened there. After the bombardment, we left. Then the next day we found out, you ever hear of Ernie Pyle?
Ernie Pyle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ernie Pyle was killed on that island. I didn't know he landed in Europe, Africa. He landed with the troops. He was right there, right with them. And then we heard that Ernie Pyle was killed in Aiyashima. Then it came out later on in books that I read. Right. Aiyashima, you know. And
wasn't he a movie star?
no, he was the one that wrote in Stars and Stripes.
Oh, okay.
You know the paper I'm talking about, Stars and Stripes. So, but he was well known.
Right.
After that island, we went back to the Philippines.
Okay.
And we were preparing for the invasion of Japan.
Okay.
And after we were in the Philippines for a while, they gave us shore duty. So shore duty. They let us go on the beach so we could drink a little beer.
Right.
We couldn't drink it on the ship. So that warm beer, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And we went back to the ship. Then we heard the next day an atomic bomb hit a place called...
Hiroshima?
Which one?
Hiroshima?
Yeah. Hiroshima. And it killed 30,000 people.
Right.
So we said, how the hell did they know that they killed 30,000 people yesterday? They counted how many people. They said, well, this particular area that was devastated had a population of about 30,000, and you don't see a living soul.
Right.
okay, after that, the next day, I think, or 2 days later, Hiroshima and Nagasaki got another atomic bomb.
Right.
They asked the Japanese surrender. Finally, they surrendered. So our group of boats went up in the occupation force to Japan. In the meantime, back in the States, I didn't realize it until after I was discharged and I went to the movies, and you see the news, and you see VE Day,
Right.
VJ Day, and everybody is waving the flags and cheering, and I said, we're not cheering, we're over here in Japan.
Right.
I said, we never cheered. And we stayed, I forget, about 30 days, something like that.
Okay.
And then I had the points. The points, I had it because I was in the longest.
Right.
Nobody had the points on the ship. They were all young kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the points, so boom, I went on the, they sent along a boat, and you ought to hear this crew. When I got on the boat to go back, they were cheering me. I don't know why they were cheering. Maybe because I didn't show fear at that time, you know, when they were coming down and attacking us. And I said, don't worry about it, the son of a, you know. I said, don't worry about it. I said, nothing's going to happen to us. So maybe that's why they were cheering me. I don't know. That today they call that a hero. I don't think I was a hero. I just did it, that's all.
Okay.
And I was up in Yokohama, Yokosuka, and then I got the discharge, and I went on a Liberty ship. You familiar with a Liberty ship?
No, sir.
A Liberty ship was a supply ship, no troops, supply ship that brought tanks, guns, ammunition, all that to the troops on the beach.
Okay.
And the ones that brought the troops on the beach, all the supplies, were the Navy. We had the small boats. We were able to supply them. I didn't give the Navy too much credit.
Right.
By the way, can I go back to Normandy for a minute?
Sure.
In Normandy, when the Rangers were climbing the cliff, and like I said, I never knew how dangerous it was. I have a copy of a news report that I made a copy for you.
Okay.
And this woman that works for the Associated Press wrote an article about that particular Rangers
Right.
going up on that cliff. I read this and I said, I never read anything so true, so believable. How did this woman know all these details? So I called Associated Press in Florida. Associated Press, I told them I wanted to speak to this woman, and she's in Paris. What's it about? So I told them about the article that I read. The article is so terrific. I want to know where she got all the information. So they said to me, why don't you email her? Because I don't own a computer. So they said to me, what's your name? What's your phone number? Blah, 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 blah. All those things. They contacted her.
Right.
The next day, I get a phone call. She calls me from Paris.
Okay.
What's it about, Mr. Gold? I said, this article that I read, this is the greatest article I have ever written. That's so believable. The reason I say that, I was there with them. I know what it was like. How did you get all this information? A little bit from this one, a little bit. I said, I could have swore when I read that article that you were in the boat with us. I said, but I know women were not in the boat with us. But I said, the article made me feel that the water was rough. I said, and the water was splashing on my face. And when I was reading the article, I felt the water splashing on my face again. What do you want to hear after Japan? I went back for discharge.
Where did you, where, in the last days before your discharge,
I had to go to the hospital.
where?
St. Albans Naval Hospital out in
Queens.
Queens. Yeah, Queens.
South Jamaica.
What?
In South Jamaica.
Yeah,
That's where I grew up.
yeah, right. And they put me in there.
My mother worked there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I know, that's okay. That's okay. They found something on one of my lungs. So they took pictures and they were checking me out, sticking, needle to see if I had TB
Right.
or whatever it is. the meantime, I was mobile, so I was able to walk around to the different wards.
Uh-huh.
Well, the things that I saw when
Back
I...
up for 1 second. Sorry, you weren't a prisoner of war.
No, no, no.
Okay, but I know you got some medals, right?
Oh, a lot of medals.
Okay, we'll talk about that after this.
I got it.
You got it in there.
Yeah, I didn't bring the medals with me.
Okay, that's okay.
No, but I wrote down.
You wrote them down.
Oh,
Excellent.
yeah.
Fine.
I can tell you about the medals if you want to.
Sure.
I remember them all.
Good.
Where was I?
You were in the hospital.
Oh, yeah, the hospital. So I used to walk around to the wards. I walked in one of the, and everybody was smoking at that time. We had no fear of cancer or emphysema or any of these diseases.
Right.
There's a guy sitting in the bed in a basket.
Right.
In a basket. His legs were missing from the knees down. He only had his stumps. This was removed. He was all burnt. His skin was grafted to his shoulder, but he could see.
Yeah.
So he said to me, "You got a cigarette?" I said, "Yeah." So I put it in my mouth to light it for me. He said, "No, no, no," he says. "Put it between my stumps." Oh, okay. So I put it, I was hardened already to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I put it between his stump, but I had to light it for him.
Yeah.
Once I lit it, he was
was
smoking, and we were talking.
Yeah.
So I asked him, "What happened to you? Why are you so black?" He was black. I didn't know if he was white or black or green or yellow.
Right.
So he said to me, "I was on an aircraft carrier when a kamikaze came down, and the oil and all that stuff hit me and burned me. And they couldn't save my legs, they couldn't save my arm. You see what my face looks like? They grafted the skin from my neck to my shoulder. I don't know if I'll ever be able to move." And we spoke just like you and I are sitting here. I didn't pity him, and he didn't want pity.
Right.
And then I walked around to different houses. He was the worst. I had never seen anybody like that.
Right.
And smoking a cigarette with the stuff. Anyhow, they found out everything was fine, that I have a little something there, but nothing to be concerned about.
Right.
I went back to Lido Beach and I was discharged January the 24th, 1946.
Where's Lido Beach?
We just told you.
And
He said, "Well, your mother was in the hospital."
You
Oh,
said-
no, not Lido Beach.
where's Lido Beach?
Out there in Jamaica.
Oh, Lido Beach. I can't remember where it is. Anyway, go ahead.
And I was discharged.
Okay. So, all
What
right.
happens after discharge?
Oh, we got more. Tell me about the medals.
Oh. I got, I have up here, if you look on my cap, you'll see the bronze stars.
Yes, sir.
I got 5 of them.
Oh,
I told,
that you wrote it down.
hmm?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's there. The 5,
What'd you get them for?
North Africa, European theater,
Okay.
Normandy. That's 4. The 5th one was Okinawa, which is the one that's in gold or up on the top here, gold, a different color,
Right.
right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the 5th one. Recently, what was it? August the 24th, I got from the French government the Legion of Honor Medal, which is a very prestigious medal. It's equivalent to the Congressional Medal of Honor here. What else? I got the medal from the Philippines. I just got it for the occupation
Right.
with letters, which I copied for you.
Okay.
Philippines. I got the conspicuous cross from New York State
Right.
for gallantry. You know what they write, gallantry and all that. What else? Those are the most important ones. I got letters from the Philippine government, from the government, like you would get in the U.S. government, all written in there. Thank you and for what you did and all that.
Right.
And this here honor flight, which was September the 24th, where they took all World War II veterans free down to Arlington Cemetery and to World War II monument. Free.
Right.
These people, we had guardians with each one of us, because every one of us were 90, 91, 92, 88, 87, and some of us were shaky, some were in wheelchairs, but they went there with the wheelchairs and all.
Right.
Walkers, they still went there. Their heads were good. That was important. They knew why they were there.
Right.
They couldn't walk or whatever, but they knew why they were there. When we got on the plane in Florida, as we're walking to the plane, people, oh no, wait a minute. My son drove me to the VA
Okay.
in West Palm,
Right.
4:45 a.m. I got out of the car, there were people there, volunteers, waving their flag. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you've done for us. Thank you for what you've done for us, and patting me. So I walked in, and they were have early breakfast. So I sat down and I ate. We had to board buses, and the buses that we boarded, each bus had a color: green, blue, yellow. If they assigned you to blue, make sure you go to the bus blue. Don't go to the other bus.
Right.
And then they took us to the airport.
Okay.
As the plane was taxiing around to take off to go to D.C.,
Right.
the fire department was out there. And as the plane made a turn, they turned on their hoses and they sprayed the plane with their hoses. And they're waving to us. These are the guys that saved my life when I got my first heart attack. I called them up, boy, the paramedic, right over the house, took care of me, put me right in the hospital.
Right.
And there they are, cheering us. Plane took off. 85 of us, and 85 Guardians.
Okay.
We landed, what's the name of the airport? Reagan?
Yeah.
Right.
Ronald Reagan Airport. Yeah.
We got off the airport. We got off the plane, rather. We're walking there. There they are again. A lot of, and a band. Da, 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 you know, da, 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 da.
Right.
And saluting, and they had honor guards and everything you can think of. I have pictures. Oh, I didn't take these pictures. I didn't bring them with me.
That's okay.
Okay. Anna, thank you very much for, the use. Thank you very much. And then we went through the entire, we had to get a bus to go to Arlington.
Right.
We went to Arlington, we looked around, the unknown soldier, and all those. I don't remember how long we were there, half hour, maybe a little longer.
Right.
Had to get on the buses, the War Memorial. That's what I was interested in.
Okay.
We got to the War Memorial. We got to the War Memorial, and as I was walking around in the War Memorial, my grandchildren were behind me. I didn't know it. And I turned around. There's my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren there. What a surprise and a shock to see them there. I said, you made my day. Now you really made my day. I mean, they flew me down here and did all that, and you're here, and you're taking pictures, and I'm in the pen. And here we are. See, they live in Virginia.
Okay.
In the part of Virginia where they live, it's a half-hour ride. So anyhow, we took pictures, we hugged, and we kissed, the usual family.
Yeah.
Then we went around to where it says Atlantic Theater, Pacific Theater. So my grandson said to me, point out where you were. So there were people talking behind us. I don't know who they are. So my grandson said, when you point out to where it is, stay there. I'm going to take a picture.
Okay.
So this was the Africa stuff, So I point out, I was here in Africa. I said, I was here in Tunisia. I said, I was here in Sicily. I said, I was here in Salerno. And I was here in Normandy. And I see the reaction on the people behind who I didn't know.
Right.
The reaction that I'm pointing out. He said, okay, let's go to the Pacific. We went to the Pacific. I said, Pearl Harbor? They didn't have any Weetalk because it was a small island. I said, point out, Philippines, Okinawa, after Okinawa, Japan. I forget exactly. I didn't have that many because I was most of the time in Europe.
Okay.
So I pointed and they took pictures of that. Then I went up to, we went into a room The Guardian was with me all the time, by the way.
Right.
He didn't leave my side.
Right.
We went into a place I wanted to show him. There was a place there where they had all kinds of medals.
Right.
So I said, I want to show you my Legion of Honor medal if they have it here. So we went around and I pointed out the Legion of Honor medal to him.
Uh-huh.
I said, but it doesn't look as nice as mine. So it might have been one from 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
He happened to come up, he took pictures, the Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
So when he developed them, he came over to my house. So I took out the Legion of Honor and I showed it to him. He said, he said, yours is much nicer. I said, it's brand new. It's only a week. I'm only a month or so old. I said, look different than the other one? Yeah. In French. You know, when the French give you the Legion of Merit, they give you a kiss,
Right.
you know, on each side.
Right.
That was a beautiful ceremony, too.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 20 World War II veterans.
Okay.
But the only ones that got the Legion of Honor were those that were involved with Normandy.
Okay.
If you weren't involved in Normandy, you didn't get it. I don't know, what else? The medals, if I forgot any, it's in there.
Okay.
If I did.
What did you do after the war?
After the war, I went on the 5220 Club. Do you know what that is? The government was giving out $20 a week
Right, I heard that.
for 52. So I figured, look, I knocked myself out pretty good.
Uh-huh.
And my mother and all of them said, take it easy for a while. You know?
Right.
So I was on the 5220 Club for a while. And at that time, I lived in the Bronx.
Uh-huh.
But I grew up in Manhattan. So I knew all the guys from Manhattan. So I used to ride from the Bronx down to Manhattan,
Right.
get together with all the fellas that I knew, and we went into the, well, today they call it a tavern.
Right.
We didn't call it taverns in those days. I forget what they called it, but we drank beer and we played shuffleboard.
Right.
And what did I do afterwards? I went to beauty culture school that the government paid for.
You went to where?
Beauty culture school, yeah, that's right. I'm laughing too. And the beauty culture school, I thought that it might be a good idea if I learned beauty culture.
Uh-huh.
I went to the school and the instructor told me that you're going to make a good beautician.
Uh-oh.
This is what the instructor said to me. In the meantime, after the course was over, 6 or 7 months, that was the end. I was killing time, so to speak.
Okay.
Then I got a job working with the, by the way, World War II, the government took care of us.
Okay.
They gave us everything, not like now. The government gave everything. Now they don't want to give anything to anybody.
Did you stay in touch with your family while you were in the service?
What?
Did you write?
Oh, sure.
I figured.
Oh, yeah. I wrote not only to my family, to my cousins and everything.
Everybody.
I wrote one letter, I put it down, I copied it. So I sent so they called each other up. They called each other up to find out, what did he write you? And then the guy finally said, he wrote the same thing to me. Well, I'm not going to individual, you know, so I wrote
Right.
maybe 10 letters, you know, all it's the same thing. If they had a Xeroxing at that time, I would have Xeroxed them. But I had to write it all myself.
Okay.
Let's see. And then I went into appliances. Television, no, not television yet. A refrigerator, washing machines, and things like that.
Right.
Then, that was in 1949. Television was in its baby
Yeah.
stages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it got big.
Right.
And I worked with this company 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then they decided they're going to close up the end of the business. So I had no job.
Right. Oh. Okay.
I went to a store called Alexander's Department Store.
Uh-huh.
Alexander's Department Store is like Macy's, that type
I
of
know,
store.
I know.
Oh, you're familiar with
Left Rec
it?
City.
Oh, you're familiar with
Left
it?
Rec City.
They had a store in 59th Street and Lexington Avenue, Manhattan.
Right.
And they gave me a job, computers.
Okay.
Not these computers,
Right.
the little handheld, 2 times 2 is 4.
Calculators.
They called them computers then.
Gotcha.
But they were calculators, right. And I was selling that for a while with somebody else, with 2 of us. And we had a lot of business people coming in.
Okay.
And at that time I calculated that add, subtract, multiply, and divide was $100. That's all it did. And it had a memory bank. But it didn't do anything at the $100, $125. Now you can get them for $5.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I worked there, Alexander's, let's see, about 3 or 4 years. Then a cousin of mine had a business in Greenwich Village. You familiar with Greenwich Village?
Yeah.
Okay. He had a men's fancy clothing store.
West 4th Street. Yeah.
No, not West 4th, West 8th.
Okay.
West 4th too, yeah, right. Both. But he was on 8th Street.
Right.
He had 2 clothing stores. I mean, way out clothing. Not just, way out.
Yeah, I know.
One of his customers was Doc Severinsen.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember what Doc used to wear? He used
Right.
to get it from us.
Johnny Carson.
So we had 2 stores downstairs. One real wild, one a little wild. The real wild was the high price. The little wild was a little lower price. Upstairs in an apartment building, we leased an apartment, 2 apartments, and we broke through, we made a shoe store.
Right.
But not an ordinary shoe store. Boots and way out shoes, and a lot of the people that came in to our area were
Right.
gay people. We didn't think of it like today.
Okay.
They were people. We didn't care whether they were gay or they weren't. Today they make a big deal out of it. We didn't care about it then. They would come in and they would buy the clothing that we sold. That's what they would buy. Then we used to get the black guys, the pimps.
Right.
They used to come up with their fancy Cadillacs, with the top down,
Right.
with leopard skin covering and all that, with the white broad. They would come up, and we were taking credit cards at that time. You're laughing, but you know it's true. Everything I'm telling you, believe me, is true. This is not Hollywood.
No, I understand.
And when they came up, they liked the boots that we had.
Right.
So he would take a look at the boot. He said, I like this boot. How many colors does it come in?
Right.
So I said, 1, 2, 3, 6 colors. He said, bring out one, let me try it. We tried it and said, I want all 6. At that time, they were like $60. Today they're $250.
Right.
But they were $60 was big bucks in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah.
No writing checks, no nothing. He just peeled it off.
Cash.
Yeah, right. He peeled it off. They were good customers, the money came easy, and they were good customers, and whenever they came in, I'll take 2 of these, let me have 2 of those. I mean, a good couple of $100 every time they came in.
Right.
Where if you and I came in, we buy one, goodbye. A lot of celebrities we had.
Okay.
A lot of that area drew a lot educated people, intellects, directors of movies, all these big shots.
Right.
Movie stars were bringing in their children, not for the shoes, for the clothing.
Okay.
I can't remember every one of the movie stars, but I met a lot of them. And I was down there for about 4 years. We had customers that would call us from Australia, customers that would call us from foreign countries. We send brochures to them with pictures. They would call up, send me this, send me that, send me this, send me that. Good customers. So we shipped everything to them. We don't charge them. Shipped everything to them.
What was the name of the store?
The Village Squire.
Gotcha.
You heard it?
No.
Oh, you never heard? No. You're too young to remember that. Your father might know, but not you. So The two stores were called the Village Squire, the
Right.
clothing store. We were called the Village Squire to boot because we were selling the boots too.
Right, okay. Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the movie stars and all that. We were there for about 3.5, 4 years. My cousin's business was there way before me. He decided he wanted to bring in the shoes, so he asked me, "Do I want to come in as a partner?" So I said, "Okay." And the neighborhood was nice.
Right.
The customers were nice.
You used your GI Bill, right?
What?
For school? Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
use
Oh,
your
yeah.
GI Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Just going to go back and make sure we cover every, yeah, okay, you used your GI Bill.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You mean for the hairdressing
Right,
school?
exactly.
Beauty culture, right.
Good.
Yeah.
What did you think of your fellow officers? I mean, were you an officer?
No.
What did you think of what did you think of officers and your fellow soldiers?
The soldiers I liked. I didn't know them well because they went into the boat and that was the end. How many were killed or how many, It's the same thing with the Rangers. That I didn't know the Rangers.
Right.
All we did is put them in the boat, they climbed the cliff and that was the end of it. But now I found out later on, reading that article, I told you, that article that woman wrote,
Yeah.
Anne Lee from Paris,
Right.
she wrote in the article, she said there was 190 that went up the cliff, in different parts of the cliff. She said 90 survived. The rest of them were either killed or wounded. So out of 190, that means 190 survived.
Yes.
What did they go up there for? The Germans had these howitzers. You know these powerful
Yeah,
guns.
I know. How it's
Now, where they were, and let's say this is the beach, and they were over here and the cliff. They were able to fire right down onto the beach.
Right.
They really got friendly with. I never really was friendly with the officers. You salute them and that's it.
Did you retain any of your friendships after the service?
Oh, I have a picture of one fella that was in the boat crew with me. We had a total of 4.
Right.
He and I are the only 2 that are living.
Okay.
He lives in Georgia.
Right.
I tried to get in touch with him. He tried to get in touch with me for years. We wrote. Nobody answered. We wrote.
Right.
Finally, I was over my nephew's house, and he had a computer. So I said, "Do me a favor." He was in the Navy with me. His name is Roy L. Gilreath. He lives in Rome, Georgia. See if you can get him on the computer.
Right.
So he played around with it. He got a whole list of Roy L. Gilreath, young kids. Then they got Roy Lee Gilreath. I said, "What's his phone number?" I said, "Do me a favor, call him. This is my nephew."
Right.
My nephew calls up, his wife answers the phone. So he says, "This Roy L. Gilreath's home?" He says, "Yes." I says, "Was Roy ever in the Navy?" She said, "Yes." Could you put him on the phone if he's available? Somebody wants to speak to him. So he gets on the phone. I said, "Is this Roy?" I hadn't spoken to him in 60 years, and he has a strong Southern accent.
Right.
He gets on the phone, "Yeah." I said, "Roy L. Lee Gilreath?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You'll never guess who this is. This is Larry Gold." "Oh my God, oh my God." He said, "Larry, I've been trying to get you for 60 years. I said, "I was trying to get you." "Well, what did we talk about?" "The war." We had nothing in common, right? We only talked about the war.
Yeah.
So I brought up one time to him Salerno. I said, "You remember what we went through in Salerno? How the hell we didn't get killed is amazing. I told you, with all that."
Right.
So I have a picture of him and I. We're the only 2 that are still alive. The reason I took his picture is because he sent a picture with the King of England came aboard our ship when we were in Plymouth, England,
Okay.
preparing for Normandy.
Right.
Our ship was a communication ship. It was called the USS Ancon, Ancon, AGC-4.
Right.
Very prestigious type of ship. Admirals, generals, they all came there.
Right.
And he came down, the king, with a couple of officers, you know, with a lot of stripes, you know,
Right.
came down the aisle, and we were part of the guard, honor guard,
Right.
like this, honor guard. But my picture and his picture, we're all the way in the back.
Uh-huh.
And I have the picture here. And the reason I put a clip on the picture to show that we too were on the ship, and we were part of the honor guard.
Right.
You got that?
Yes, sir.
He went and took that picture of the king and all long before I knew, and he sent the picture to the queen,
Okay.
who's the daughter, the queen now. Her father is the one that was on the ship.
Right.
He sent the picture. He said he was part of the honor guard. Not me. He said him. He didn't know if I was still alive.
Right.
Sent a letter back. I got a copy of the letter. To him, not to me, of course, to him. But it would have been for me, too.
Okay.
He sent me the pictures later on. So I'm not going to send the same pictures in again. So I attached it, the letter, showing that it's from Buckingham Palace and the Queen,
Right.
thanking him for sending the picture and that he was part of the honor guard. If he knew I was still alive, he would have sent it in for both of us.
Okay.
What else is left?
I just got a couple of more.
Am I doing good?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. We're right on schedule.
Am I showing emotion too?
Yes, sir. You're very animated.
I am, huh?
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
You mean before I went in?
No, afterwards. Did your military experience influence your
Well,
thinking about
let me
war
tell
or
you-
about the military in
Let me
general?
tell you something. When I got out of the service, after everything that I went through, and others too, and I'm not the only one, but not everyone was on both sides. Not everyone that was in Europe ended up in the Pacific like I did.
Right.
So I was in two wars,
Two theaters.
two theaters of war, right. And when I got out of the service, my mouth was tight. Never discussed the war, never even thought of the war, unless I went to the VA. I had to go to the VA for some type of checkup. Oh, okay, all the guys there were my age, 23, 24, all of them were in the service. So naturally, you talk with them because they understand. Like you were in the Air Force. You understand what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
So I used to talk with them, they used to talk with me. Some of them used to BS me. They tell me, oh, I was here and here. I said, do you remember when this and this happened? Oh, no, that didn't happen. I said, you weren't there, baby. I know you weren't there. If you were there, you would remember that. In Sicily, one said he was in Sicily. I said, do you remember when the German bombers came over and they were dropping the bomb and they hit that Liberty ship? Oh, I wasn't there at that time. You weren't there. Never mind, you weren't there at that time. You weren't there.
Right.
So there was a lot of BSing going on,
Yeah.
and I knew it.
I heard.
But once I got out of the service, my own brother, who's still alive yet, he's 87 years old, lives in Las Vegas.
Okay.
He said to me, I knew that you went through a lot, but you never said a word. Not a word. You kept it. And he was in the Navy too, but he was in a very short time. He got a medical discharge. So, and I never discussed it. What was it that you got discharged for? Medical. And he avoided telling me, so I never know till today why he got a medical discharge.
Right.
I said medical discharge is still an honorable discharge.
Right.
It's not a dishonorable. So he said to me, you're tight-lipped. Now, with all this stuff that's going on now, I sent him the news, the paper about the Rangers climbing the cliff.
Right.
I knew you were involved, sure. And he had, now he knows all the things that I went through. But it took over 60 years for me to tell him.
Right.
I never discussed it even with him.
Right. Okay.
Next.
Do you attend any reunions?
No.
Okay. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
it made me, I became grown up, mature. I was just a young kid, just turned 20. See, December the 7th, Pearl Harbor was bombed.
Right.
December the 11th was my birthday, 4 days later. So the Pearl Harbor was bombed, I was 19, and 4 days later I was 20.
Right.
And I became mature. I did. I became more serious, let's put it that way. But when I was among civilians, so
Right.
to speak, I was just like them, happy-go-lucky.
Right.
As soon as I went to the VA and talked to the guys, then it got tight.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
I'll tell you, this is something I never looked for. Like when I got the Legion of Honor, never looked for it. I got all the medals that I got, I never looked for it. It came to me, I never asked for it.
Right.
Now, when I went up to see Wendy,
Uh-huh.
and I told Wendy, and I showed her a lot of the things that you're going to look at. She's the one that started to tell me you're a hero. So I said, Wendy, I'm no hero. I didn't do anything different than anybody else. She said, look at the men that you saved, and all that. I said, if I was swimming in the ocean and I saw you look like you're drowning, should I go in the other direction, or should I come over to help you?
Right.
She says, I get your point. I said, these poor guys are being, we have to go over and help them. That's well, you're a hero. You're a hero. I'm going to Xerox this copy. I'm going to Xerox this. Whatever I gave you, she Xeroxed. I don't remember exactly what she Xeroxed. And she kept throwing to me, you're a hero, you're a hero, you're a hero. And would you mind if we videotape it?
What?
She asked me, do you mind if we videotape it? I said, no, you can do it, that's okay. But she kept throwing the hero piece at me.
Right.
So now she sent everything in to Deutsch. Deutsch sent me a letter. He thanked me for using him, maybe I'm using the wrong words, for using him to see if he can get me. I said, all I want is recognition. I don't want anything else.
Right.
I'm not looking for the Congressional Medal of Honor. I already got it from the French. I said, but there are guys that are coming out of Iraq. And there are guys coming out from Afghanistan.
Right.
And these guys didn't go through, maybe they did with the desert. They may have gone through, a lot of them. They never went through all the things that I went through. They never fought 2 wars. They're in Iraq. That's it. They're in Afghanistan. Were they ever in Africa? Were they ever in Europe? Were they ever in Normandy? Were they ever in Okinawa? Did they ever have planes come down and crash into one of their? Well, of course, they're being blown up anyhow. When that I understand that. So she said, "What is it you're looking for?" I said, "Well, I once I read an article in the VA. A lot of times there's all kinds of articles written." Magazine. I read this article, and this article says, any World War II veteran who has 5 stars is entitled to the Silver Star. Right? So I Xeroxed everything, showed that I got where I was and where I got the stars.
Right.
Sent it down to the Navy Department. When this was? Maybe 1960.
Okay.
That's a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
I get a letter back from some JG, 90-day wonder, or whatever he was. We used to call them 90-day blunders, but and some of them were. And he writes that in order to receive the Silver Star, you have to be in the same theater, in one spot, traveling, from here to here, but in Africa. Like in Iraq, you're in this part of Iraq, then you're in this part of Iraq. I said, I was in the Navy. We don't hang around. I said, I didn't say it to him. I'm saying to myself, I'm in the Navy. We bombard something, we land the troops, we're gone. We got to go somewhere else.
Right.
So I cut the article out. And I sent the article with his letter. I'm saying it doesn't say here, nothing says that I have to do it, I have to be in one theater of war. Nothing.
Right.
It just says if you have 5 Bronze Stars, you're entitled to the Silver Star.
Right.
He never answered it, even though I sent the proof
Right.
that it's not worded that you have to be in one part.
Okay.
So she said to me, Wendy, I'll get you the Silver Star. I won't get you the Congressional Medal of Honor. She said, that's not. I said, I already got it from the French. So, you know, but I'm going to see to it that, I don't know how she can. She said, I'm going to see to it that you get the Silver Star.
Okay.
I said, I didn't even want it then. I just was bringing it up. So let me have a piece of paper like the French gave me that I have there all rolled up in French, written in French.
Okay.
I brought that to you too.
Okay.
Did you get this?
I'm gonna get it now. I'm gonna get.
Where
it right
should I
now.
hold it? Hold
Yes,
it?
sir. Now you hold it right there, and then we'll get the badge that you have there. That's
Okay.
fine. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Move it away?
You can move that away, and you can pick up the badge for me now. Yes, sir. Hold on. A little bit more. No, just. Yes, sir. A little back the other way. All right, now hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Bingo. Here we go. And it's Honor Flight, Southeast Florida, Larry Gold. I see Southeast Florida Honor Flight Inc., Larry
Right.
Gold, Delray Beach, Florida, U.S. Navy. And I can almost read the small print, but my eyes aren't what they used to be either. What does it say?
It's the name of a doctor that was on the plane with us, and one of the women that was a volunteer, her phone number, which is unimportant.
Okay. Well, anyway, Mr. Gold, I want to thank you very much for sharing.
Did I do a good job?
You did an absolutely wonderful, perfect.
I was very expressive, and well, I'm emotional. I am emotional.
Well, some of us don't mind being human.
That's right. Now you wanted to see.